Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first news video regarding Starfield. In today's video, it appears that Bethesda has recently released a timeline for Starfield's story. It gives us a little bit of lore for what to expect and backstory on some of the factions, as well as maybe some world events that might be going on while we play. It's pretty cool, so it kind of reveals everything as we scroll down, as you see. It starts with the year 2050. And it says humans first arrive on Mars by 2100. Humans are living in space. Okay, and then the next one, it goes to 2156. Humans arrive in Alpha Centauri, 4.37 light years away from Earth. And then we go down to 2159. The United Colonies are established. And then next, you have 2160. New Atlantis is founded and becomes the official capital city of the United Colonies in 2161. It's pretty interesting that New Atlantis was founded pretty far off from when we actually get to play the game, so that's interesting. They've been building that capital city for quite a while in the game. And then 7 years later, in 2167, Cheyenne is settled by Solomon Coe, who founds its first settlement, Aquila City. And then it appears 21 years later, in 2188, Coe invites, I believe that's Volley, excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly, but Coe invites Volley to join Cheyenne in a new alliance, the Freestar Collective, which is one of the alliances in the game, which I'm sure most of everyone that would watch this video will know that. The Freestar Collective is officially formed in 2189. So 1 year later after that. In 2194, the United Colonies positions the star station called the Clinic in orbit around Deepala in the Narian system. The unaffiliated peoples of the Narian system see this as a United Colonies attempt to expand their borders and demand the United Colonies remove the Clinic. When the United Colonies refuses, the people of Narian vote to join the Freestar Collective, who mobilize to protect the system in 2195. In 2196, in response to Freestar mobilization, the UC moves a fleet into the Narian system and Freestar responds in kind. The Narian War begins. Wow, so, okay, already jumping into a war. Very interesting. The Narian War drags on as public sentiment sours. Finally, the Treaty of Narian is signed by the UC and Freestar Collective in 2216, ending the conflict. The term settled systems is formalized in the treaty. So it's very interesting. We get a little backstory on two of the factions already. You have the United Colonies, and then the Freestar Collective have already waged war on one another by 2196. So already there's some tension between those two factions. Moving on to 2221. The Freestar Rangers are founded as an elite, protective, and investigative force dedicated to serving all citizens of the Freestar Collective. In 2275, Constellation is formed by Sebastian Banks. Original members include Chloe Bao. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced a name or something because I'm not too familiar with some of these pronunciations, but anyway, I think it's Chloe Bao, accomplished physicist. Aja Mamesa, the youngest member of Sebastian's protege. Darius Endris, botanist and specialist in xenoflora. Bernadette Laurent, wealthy heiress and adventurer. Everardo Gill, former smuggler. And Kadri Tama, biologist and physician. The lodge is built in New Atlantis to serve the needs and people of Constellation for generations to come. Just some broad one-sentence news on 2305. Barrett joins Constellation. Freestar Collective begins farming on the planet of Vesta in the lunar system by 2308. The United Colonies claims that by establishing a colony in a fourth star system, the Freestar Collective has violated the Treaty of Narian, which was the treaty they signed to end the Narian War between the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies. So, diplomatic talks break down, and the United Colonies lays siege to Vesta, killing anyone who stayed behind or was brought in to defend it. The Colony War officially begins. And I'm pretty sure that was the biggest war they said that had just ended maybe recently before the game actually starts. So again, there's even more tension between some of these factions. So this really makes the tension on who you join maybe even more interesting depending on the choices you make. So it's pretty cool. Moving on to 2310, Constellation comes into possession of their first artifact and tucks it away in the Constellation archives. 2311, after several years of conflict, the Colony War effectively comes to an end with the Battle of Cheyenne, as a flotilla of civilian and military Freestar Collective ships take down the major ships of the United Colonies Navy using hit and run tactics. Okay. 4 years later, in 2315, the United Colonies Vanguard is founded as part of a United Colonies response to the Freestar Collective's use of civilian ships during the Colony War. The Vanguard is the United Colonies' own civilian navy, relying on civilians using their own ships who pledge to protect the United Colonies and its interests. The ultimate reward for this service: citizenship in the United Colonies. Wow, so sounds like he got very desperate and pretty much all hands on deck to try and win the war. And they were also bribing a lot of these people with citizenship. Okay, and again, 4 more years later, in 2319, Sarah Morgan, who is one of the followers and I believe a character you can romance in the game, becomes the youngest head of the United Colonies Navigator Corps through its though it's a short-lived position, as the division is shut down in 2320, cast adrift, but still eager to put her training to good use. Morgan joins Constellation. I was about to say, because I remember in the trailer she was actually part of Constellation, so she was actually a part of the United Colonies first. Very interesting information right there. So 2 years later, in 2321, Walter Stroud, co-owner of Stroud Eklund, one of the Settled Systems' premier starship manufacturers, joins Constellation and becomes its primary financial backer. I remember a lot of people talking about this, and they theorized that there was someone behind the scenes that was doing the financial, or applying the financial backing for a lot of the operations for them. So this is cool to see that this actually became what everyone theorized. But anyway, moving on to the following year, in 2322, former Crimson Fleet pirate Vladimir Sal joins Constellation. 3 years later, 2325, Sarah Morgan becomes acting chair of Constellation, so she's moving right on up that ladder. So, acting chair. Okay, in 2325, later that year, I guess, it's theologian Matteo Cotri joins Constellation. A year later, in 2326, Barrett finds the original artifact in the Constellation archives and knows it must be special. So Barrett he joined Constellation, 21 years prior to that? Let's see. Yes, 2305. Wow, so he must be an older character. In the following year, 2327, Freestar Ranger Sam Coe and his daughter Cora joined Constellation. So Sam Coe, I believe, is the space cowboy that is also a follower, and I think he's a romance option as well, along with Sarah Morgan. And then 1 year later, 2328, Andrea joins Constellation. Again, just like Barrett, it doesn't really show a whole lot going on that year, just one little sentence of small information, so I don't know if maybe that will lead to something, or maybe they just Bethesda wants everyone to know before going in who these characters are, because they might have something important going on in the story. We don't know. And then later that year, Barrett convinces Constellation to purchase Star Station L868 and modify it to become a deep space scanner nicknamed the Eye. Okay. Oh, cool. 2330 AD. Starfield begins. And a nice little animation there. And then, of course, they have their own Discord that you can join. They've got all their little social media links at the bottom there. But yeah, this is just on Bethesda's website under the Starfield section, and you can obviously access it anytime. But it's really cool that Bethesda gave us a little timetable with some lore and some information about some of the factions' history, because they all intertwine with one another so far, and I'm sure that they're going to have a lot more conflicts in the future, because they're no stranger to war, it appears. But anyway, yeah, so this is going to be it for this video, and I will be doing more news videos before Starfield arrives. I know they've got some gameplay they're probably going to show at Gamescom, some panel that Xbox has. So whenever they release information about that, I will be doing a separate video on that regarding the gameplay. And they also have an AMA with a couple of the developers or writers, and I will also be doing a video on that, basically breaking down some of the questions that the fandom asks and what their answers will be. So we're going to be getting a lot of information even before the game releases, and hopefully even more public gameplay. So we will see. But if you like the video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this timetable that Bethesda has given us. And in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.